Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a look at some of them new Fusion Pokémon, because they are bringing in abilities which are lovely. Most of them, to be fair, are actually bringing in abilities to hurt your opponent more than help you, but I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I am totally okay with it. So maybe the most annoying of them is gonna be Gorbace. Although let's be clear, they're all kind of annoying. Translations here from the lovely Antoine Boulet, which I'm assuming by now you've guessed, but in case you didn't, yeah. So Gorbace then, what have we got? We got a stage 1 Pokemon, 110 HP isn't particularly impressive, retreat cost of 1 is fine, there's nothing great about it on the face of it. The attack for 2 energy does 50 damage and heals 30, but 2 energy on a stage 1 50 damage isn't enough, and healing 30 on 110 HP Pokemon just isn't enough. We ain't excited. But the ability, your opponent's Rapid Strike Pokemon in play have no abilities. Oh. Yeah, no, cool, I'm in. That's good by me, ladies and gentlemen. That is absolutely good by me. This is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. Now, obviously it's not going to be great against everything, but basically, if there is any Rapid Strike Pokemon that you don't want to use the abilities, get rid of it. And you can get rid of all their abilities and life is good. There are a few here. I mean, one of the obvious ones is Octillery, that they can use to search out their Rapid Strike cards. That is an ability on which they kind of rely, so being able to turn off that ability and slow them down is clearly a good thing. The Inteleon from Chilling Reign that drops damage counters, we've seen a bunch of decks that have been built around that Inteleon to drop extra damage counters. That's amazing, that goes away. The Persimmon that lets you do an extra 30 damage to the bench. Combos really nice with things like Rapid Strike Urshifu to do 150 to 2 bench Pokemon, or 180 with a telescopic sight. Yeah, these all go away, ladies and gentlemen. All these abilities all of a sudden stop working. And it really is very simple. It's a stage 1 Pokemon. So if you're worried about Octillery giving them extra consistency, Inteleon dropping damage counters, Persimmon doing extra damage to the bench, or any Rapid Strike ability we might see in the future. I mean, a great example of one that hasn't actually come out here yet would be Sylveon. It's got that ability that lets you search for an item card and then end your turn, but it's really, really nice just for the extra consistency. So, yeah. That one gets turned off. Or how about Rayquaza VMAX? That's got that really good ability that discards your hand and draws 3 cards. That seems like a pretty good ability that people are going to want to use. And again, these are just examples. There will be more in the future. I am purely just picking out some which I think are going to be particularly annoying to turn off. There will be plenty of others, and they will all be turned off here. If you want to hurt Rapid Strike decks, this is a phenomenal Pokemon to use to do so. But where there is a Gorbace, there is always a Huntail as well. Remember, they are evolved from the same Pokemon. There is one here. Same 110 HP, same retreat cost of 1. It's all fine. Bad attack. Water 2 colorless, 80 damage. Let's not get excited. This sucks. But we do have the ability Single Strike Jammer. Your opponent's Single Strike Pokemon's attacks cost 1 colorless energy more. Oh. Yeah, in the same way that Gorbace was a really nice counter for annoying Rapid Strike decks, this is a really nice counter for annoying Single Strike decks. And if there are any Single Strike decks you want to try and beat, or slow down, or hurt, this will do it, ladies and gentlemen. This will do it. So, one of the best decks that has been coming around lately, a deck which has really been a big deal, has been Gengar VMAX. It's got a very convenient 2 energy attack. Well, all of a sudden, this turns it into a far less convenient 3 energy attack, and that could end up costing them attacks. And if that costs them attacks, then they end up losing, and life is good. I should actually mention while we're here, when we're talking about all of these abilities, these are single prize Pokemon. They're not Pokemon V, they're not Pokemon V Max. What that means is that Path to the Peak, because you don't have a rule box, will not turn off your abilities. So all the ones I'm talking about in this video, you're going to be fine. Your abilities are safe. Something like a single strike Urshifu. It's got a really good attack, but it's for 4 energy. It's very expensive. This is going to help. Now, obviously, anytime we're talking about increasing the attack cost of single strike Pokemon, we do have to mention Houndoom and the fact that each Houndoom will allow an extra energy to be attached, and that is clearly a big advantage and is clearly going to help to get around this somewhat. But also, please remember that it's still annoying. Getting 4 energy on a single strike Urshifu, even with Houndoom, if you play the deck, you'll know it's not always easy. You rarely have a 5th energy you could attach if you wanted to. This is going to hurt, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely going to hurt. This is going to be a pretty big deal. And because they go from the same evolution line, this combo of Gorbace and Huntail, these are going to be good. I'm giving them both 4 Wassies because essentially they perform very similar functions. I do think Gorbace is better because turning off abilities is going to be more impactful. But I think that you could play a nice kind of 2-1-1 line or 1-1-1 line or whatever and have an answer if you're playing some kind of toolbox deck. If you're trying to take down a lot of the best decks in the format, these are really nice tricks to help you go ahead and do so. But wait, there's more. Maybe you don't have anything against single strike or rapid strike Pokemon. Maybe instead you hate Pokemon VMAXs. Well, might I introduce you to Toxicity? Now, the 120 HP is actually really annoying because things like Rapid Strike Urshifu hit 120. We don't like it. Retreat cost of 2 is a little bit higher, but then again, we've got Air Balloon, so it's not the end of the world. But then what we've got here is a bad attack, 3 energy, 90 damage, don't worry about it, it's terrible, and a really nice ability, which is clearly a theme for the Pokemon we're looking at here. If all of your Pokemon in play are Fusion Pokémon, each of your opponent's Pokemon VMAX's HP becomes 30 less. Yes! Now all of a sudden you are bringing down the HP of all VMAX Pokemon by 30. And let's be super clear here, this is extremely impactful. Now, one other thing we need to mention here, this does not say it doesn't stack. Which means you could have 2 of these and your opponent's VMAX gets reduced by 60. Which is, again, really good. And the reason it's really good is because, with a few exceptions, Pokemon VMAX don't one-hit KO each other. Again, things like Single Strike Urshifu can. Generally, they don't. Take something like an Ice Rider Calyrex, a Pokemon I'm kind of falling in love with lately. Partly because of the full art on the V, I'll be honest with you. But still, good card. And to be clear, I know Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX is not a fusion Pokemon, and I know I've just said that Toxicity will only actually work if all your Pokemon in play are fusion Pokemon, so you can't use Shadow Rider Calyrex with Toxicity, but it's a nice example of the kind of things that could work were they fusion Pokemon. And generally speaking, with the Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX, you are attaching 2 energy, discarding 2 energy, and that is going to do 250 damage. It's good, but it's kind of miles away from KOing a Pokemon VMAX. Even when you start building in stuff like Galarian, Zigzagoon, and Scoop Up Net, you're nowhere near. You're just not getting that KO. But now, you get 2 Toxicity out, and let's take something like, let's take Gengar as an example. That 320 goes down to 260. So with a single Galarian Zigzagoon or a Vitality Band, all of a sudden you are getting a one-hit KO. Now don't get me wrong, any deck can use these are just examples, but I love the fact that if you invest in Toxicity, what you can essentially do is take something like Ice Rider Calyrex, which KOs non-VMAXs easily, but is too shy of VMAXs, and gets them. There are an awful lot of Pokemon where I've said things along the lines of, you'll get Pokemon V pretty easily, but you're too far away from VMAXs, so it's going to have to be a 2-hit KO. And now all of a sudden, Toxicity goes, well, hang on a second, mate. Maybe it doesn't have to be a 2-hit KO. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. It's still not perfect, because it's taking up bench space. It's a Stage 1 Pokemon. You've got to invest in it. But if you have got a deck which is good against non-VMAX decks, but struggles against VMAXs, I think it might be worth investing in Toxicity. And that means there is just one more we need to look at today, and that is a new Oricorio. Incidentally, somebody over at the Pokemon Company really likes this Oricorio, the Bailey-style Oricorio, because this has just become the first Oricorio to have 3 different prints, 3 different cards, not including alternate arts, and Power Oricorio is still waiting for its 2nd card. Now, I know Sensu Oricorio did have the GX, I'll admit, and that's the only Chase Oricorio we've seen, but Bailey Oricorio just became the first one to get a 3rd different card, so yeah. Of course, there's every possibility the others are in this set, and we just haven't seen them yet, but for now, let's just assume this is the favourite, and it's a pretty good one. Now, 90 HP is low, but remember, anytime we're talking 90 HP, that does open us up to Level Ball, and Level Ball's a great card, so we like that. That makes us happy. And we actually do have an interesting attack here. Now, 2 Fire Energy is awkward, especially given that Welder will have rotated by the time we see this, but it lets you drop 5 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way that you like. It is extremely, extremely reminiscent of a card we've all been playing for a while, that we generally play for the ability, but the attack is kind of useful. Have you figured it out, ladies and gentlemen? It's a Mew from Unbroken Bonds that we play for the bench barrier ability to protect our bench, but also has a really nice attack that for 1 colourless energy puts 3 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way that you like. Well, here it's an extra energy, but it's 5. Now, I prefer Mew, because seriously, the 1 colourless energy is so much easier, but this is still pretty gosh darn good. As for the ability, it's a basic Pokemon, and the ability says your Fusion Pokemon's attacks take 20 less damage from your opponent's Pokemon's attacks. And it does not stack. You can only apply 1 of these at a time. Okay. I'm cool with that. It's a one-shot deal. It's a 1-card tech in any deck you're playing it. You're not going to be playing multiples of this card. I don't think you would want to play this to really, play 2 or 3 just in case it's prized. But you never know, ladies and gentlemen. You never know. You can get into some dumb combos here. If we see a Galarian Fusion Pokemon, then Galarian Chestplate will be a nice option, which reduces damage done by 30, which will then reduce damage done in total by 50, which is kind of cool. And we might have other Pokemon that have abilities that can combo with this. It's alright, but this is very much, as far as I'm concerned, a matchup Pokemon. This is one of those ones where you don't just play it because you have a good think and you work it out, and if there is a particular matchup where your opponent is just getting a KO, then all of a sudden this becomes a really good card. But I could see this being one where you don't always play it. You've got it in your binder, and there will be certain matchups where this comes out, but there will be other matchups where this just stays in your binder. There'll be tournaments you take it to, and tournaments you don't, I think is fair to say. But I like this card. I've only given it 3 Wassies because I do think it is underwhelming compared to the others, and I do think there are going to be plenty of times you don't want to play it, but it's a basic Pokemon with a useful ability that can really help in some matchups, and in those matchups, you're probably going to think I've underrated it, and that is absolutely fine. So that's what I think about all these new Pokemon, but I would very much like to know what you think about all these new Pokemon, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.